Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GLL Apex Legends Series Finals for North America. Only one game left to decide it all. Bravo alongside Dreadnought to call the action in our final one. And Dread, we once again have a fantastic scenario where we have no idea where this last match will go, and as a result, where first place will go either.
But since the beginning of time of Apex Legends, man, we've been talking about but what about taking out the guy in first, right? And it's never truly come to fruition in a very clear sliding on taking out first place. But I don't think I've seen a circumstance brew better than the one at hand. Final game, TSM clearly the favorite team coming into the tournament. Yeah. Clearly the favorite going into this final game. They have 20-point advantage nearly over every other team, which is the average first place placement for most of those teams when they win. Basically meaning TSM needs to die and everyone else needs to find a win.
I mean, the math has never been clear. Huge shout out to our team in the back who's gotten us through so many games so far, 23 to be exact, throughout this tournament. TSM, as you just said, Dread, 118 points on the board. They have clawed back from the bottom 10 into first place by the end of the day. And look how close it is between T1, Sentinels, Youngins and Frex, FlyQuest, and even you could say at the distance point in Rogue. Really, it's the top 5, though, and we're looking specifically at places 2 through 5. T1, Sentinels, Youngins and Frex, and FlyQuest. Will we see any of them dropping on TSM, or at least maybe even early rotating onto TSM, who every team in this game knows will be central at Fuel Depot? Just to throw one other possibility, it's doubtful do we see TSM change their drop to anticipate that. I'd say historical competitive Apex Legends so far would suggest no. That's also likely what TSM is expecting, but we are going to see now and jump in with TSM. They right now are your winners by a long margin, and we'll see where they are going to go.
Okay.
Looks like Fuel Depot is where that beacon of, is where that mark is going to go. That's where they'll be heading. Now also looking at Sentinels, and let's see where they're going to head. They are still going to go towards sorting. That is their normal scrim drop as well.
No one said anything.
They may be able to make a fast rotation over to Fuel Depot if they would like, with more concentration onto the TSM, but having the constant of relying on at least the loot table they feel a little bit more comfortable with. All the scouting, though, does indicate that it doesn't seem, at least by the trails we saw, TSM seems to be too pressured. And I'm not going to lie, I thought that this was going to be the moment. This was it. I am very surprised to see what feels like a free TSM kind of drop in.
And Hal's actually all the way to high ground right now. He's going to extend really what is the furthest south. If we talk about the Fuel Depot drop, high ground's really as south as you get without calling it a split drop.
100% plate power. I agree. Yep.
One thing to talk about here, when we did get the indication there because of the beacon of the next circle, I mean, it's very, very likely to be a Fuel Depot circle just purely on what we've already seen. And when TSM doesn't have a lot of distance to travel and a lot of people to battle, sometimes they have been walking away, at least yesterday, under-looted. So I wonder if this is maybe going to be something that inspires that symptom once more, or if they find a way to change their decision-making rotations in order to make sure they simulate as if it was more of a distance circle.
And one thing to note, Drop, and I'd be very curious in talking to TSM, is when the decision that Hal also continued to go high ground, because if a team had decided to drop on them, it would have potentially left them in a 2v3 or worse, with Hal going to high ground. If a team had actually gone straight to Depot, you have to wonder if TSM is just simply confident in that not happening. Yusuf actually are coming all the way in from the low ground here, all the way up at Refinery for Secret.
I'm always surprised at how often we see teams comfortable to take fights there, even with the alternator at some of those distances. Back in the day, you know, it is effective at range as long as you only trigger about 1 to 2 shots at a time, but it was only because of the disruptors that it really ever usually made that much sense on those situations. But we'll see just if that continues onward as time goes on. But it is always a desperation play, right? You're holding an alternator in the first place, so, you know, you're a beggar. You can't necessarily be a chooser when it comes to the weaponry. But Rise Nation was, in fact, the team taking the glance down at that Refinery.
Second time we've seen them. Of course, Epicenter is where we saw them dropping in scrims leading up to this event. It's the second time we've seen them at least swing up towards Refinery just to scout it. It looks like in the end they are going to decide to take a little bit of a different route as they continue to rotate out of Epicenter, and into Capital City. Not too much action just yet, and it looks like you heard TSM just talking about playing their normal strategy, and that's what you expect to see from them in this game. It's certainly going to make Sentinels, T1, Youngins and Frex, and FlyQuest a little bit nervous.
Here with the Liquid, they're making their way out of the train yard, but we only on the mini-map actually get a perspective of what's going to be Nocturnal here in Flanker.
A lot of this next circle, as indicated by the path beacon, is that central cliff, that giant chunk of rock that is, as you just saw again, that is surrounded by Train Yard, Capital City, and Fuel Depot to the south, meaning we are going to be pulled essentially along one of those cliff sides at this stage.
See where we do see Secret actually try and decide to go here at this point in time. TSM, though, first place team, need to be able to win every battle, at least until they get to the probably top 5. Imperial Owl falling low, forced to go into the Rift. Alvaro Blaley already with very little HP. Medkit will be completed. Phoenix attempt, but it's going to be canceled. TSM getting pincered as Hal.
Whoa. You did hear Hal saying finish him, and it sounds like maybe just trying to get a little bit of early points on the board. Let's hear TSM right now.
Fucking down guy. I got the kill, though. What do you mean? I got... It's fine.
It's fine. We're fine. We are fine.
I need a light mag. Who has a light mag?
We don't. I don't have one.
Do you have a light mag on?
Come on, go.
Yeah, I have an R9 with gold barrel. You better give me that shit.
There you go.
Hal.
How many cells do you have?
Showing the confidence in himself
5.
here.
We have
Definitely a man who's never struggled on that front. And understandably so when you got a track record like his.
Okay.
And to be honest, probably the best R99 shooter in the world, if not very, very close.
This is all too common here for Fnatic. One player alive and has found a little nook to hide in. That's very early exits for Spirit and Shiny. Muffin's the only player alive and only white armor. But back to the TSM, what we just saw, you heard Hal saying to get that forced kill. And at this point, they have a big enough lead where a few extra kills and then even an earlier than desirable exit could still cement them first, which is, I think, where Hal's head was at during that. Then when there was a little bit of I'd say, just lack of coordination, a little bit of frustration coming through as well, but you did hear reps also saying, all right, calm down, we're fine, we're fine. You have to hope that TSM is going to keep a cool head through this if you are supporting their side.
Like this little play here from Nocturnal just to get the peek over that box. Not risk too much, though. Space Station Gaming actually walking. I thought for a second there that was exactly where we had seen Fnatic hiding, but no, this is a bit more towards that northern end. Sentinels, second place team.
Gold triple take?
A golden triple take is the case. Not necessarily the range that we want to be shooting it without getting the value out of the precision choke. One of the kind of trade-offs of the triple take here. See if one of these lands up. It's Pittsburgh Storm, actually, the one they're in fact shooting at here. D-Cop, the one probably eating a couple of those triple take shots.
And getting another look at that path beacon on the green circle, the smaller zone, there's very good chance this is going to pull hard into Capital City. That's another option, whether it pulls along the cliff or the city itself. It's going to be a big indicator in terms of what type of action we're going to see in our final game of the tournament.
Nocturnal forced to use his Rift, and Flank already getting knocked here. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it out, and it's in fact our 6th place team here, Rogue, with a very good day number 2. Still holding their own here as they're trying to make this rotation into Capital City.
Rogue with a lot to play for in this game, currently sitting at 6th place after coming into the day right around 10th. Looking to get top 3, potentially even higher, to take home not just the cash, but like we said, to really be one of the top teams to look for in North America and the world in professional Apex.
Team Secret has been struggling here in this game since the refinery battle. We saw them once in. It just seems like they're always in a scuttle and always trying to maneuver to a point of comfort, but there's still none. Shots coming through, as they're just kind of walking away here. When they get on the backside of this, they might be able to break a line of sight. In pursuit, it is in fact Space Station Gaming.
Not a lot to lose for Space Station.
They're running from the
in 13th place right here. If they're able to get an advantage, expect them to continue that pursuit.
Yeah, they basically have to have just an absolutely nutty game. So it makes sense. They would be a W kind of thought process here as best they can.
They're gonna hold us up here.
Yeah.
Could run up left.
You see, there's almost no hesitation. It's not a question of are we pushing as much as it is just where are they and where can we go. Secret's still on the retreat. Aladdin looked like he was one of the players scouting back. Should know they're in pursuit.
We have not gotten too many good looks at Sentinels and T1 specifically in this game to see exactly how early they're able to get potentially into. And of course, the production team has our back. Taking a look at T1, they're actually in Hill Valley yet, so they have not made their way into zone just yet.
Pretty good gear, though, when looking at them, and still same case when looking at Sentinels itself. The golden triple take, I'm still wondering if... Yeah, I mean, it feels like Senox is just waiting to be able to replace it. A couple loot boxes in front of him might be a good way to be able to do that.
By the way, got to give a huge shout out to our observing team, Ansvar, X, and AA, of course, the local Swedish crowd with the observing tools. We asked for 2 teams. We get to see 2 teams immediately. Thank you guys in the back. Appreciate all the great observing throughout the day.
The real MVP, the observing squad. Good attachments here for Nocturnal, as I believe they just ended up getting a kill onto what seemed like the hiding place here of Fnatic and A. I believe they were the second squad to be leaving us here on our final game. No flanker, but the shots going through. Nocturnal should be stuck basically in a corner, and Casper receiving those shots there out in the distance, willing to risk his own positioning. As he comes hopping in.
You see in the feed, Liquid is doing some damage on CLG.
They're still running.
Jesus, fuck. Those kids are some pussies.
You gotta go capital.
Albert Lily also, though, with a knock on Casper.
I have a bat for you.
Hear a little bit of frustration by Space Station. They were so eager to try and find any kills to have another game, and the fact that they were just never given the battle that they wanted, you know? It's like watching the bully get frustrated when all you do is just go, I'm not going to do it, man. I'm not going to hit you.
Yep. That was Liquid Blue on the
Q,
receiving end of some action from TSM as well in the feed. Now looking back on board with Sentinels. As a reminder, in second place with 97 points. They need a strong performance here. Already 2 kills for Senox on the board.
The funniest part about all of that is the complaint over from Space Station Gaming about Secret running away the entire time. All they did was run directly into Sentinels instead of over a couple of points in that direction here. Sentinels thankful, though, for any amount of kills that can come their direction. Again, they have to get at least first or second, I would say, and a very high amount of kills within this game to be able to overcome TSM. And I think if I would look at any team in this lobby that I go, they have what it takes to really look at TSM and go, we're better than you, I think it's Sentinels.
And if we have seen this before, teams jockeying for position on the capital city southern hills along that cliff. You already saw Sentinels Watsoning up there. We're also seeing Youngins and Frex also getting their spot in the southernmost capital city building we call construction.
Don't fuck up your portal timing, bro.
FlyQuest next door neighbors to that side. They're going to be a little bit further to the southwest, right in this corner of Capital City. 2 very desirable spots to hold on the rooftops at this stage in the game. You see pings coming in from FlyQuest. They're thinking it's going to be even further southwest along the tracks, right along the cliff. That's what they're going to be anticipating and playing for.
Different house here in Capital City. The Space Station Gaming is still looking for the fight after the retreat there from Secret. They are taking some of the shots there from the high ground and off on the construction site as Bird taking a bit of pressure.
48 from distance on that choked PK.
Cover me, guys. Cover me.
I'm trying. You gotta get back to the portal.
Set into backing out for a second. You can tell they feel like they're pressured from all angles here. Will we decide to opt into the portal? No idea where it's even going.
Team here, team close. In the stairway, Bird, careful.
Starts the fence, doesn't get it down.
Double entrance towards that roof, which makes it pretty tough, but the Watson will make it very hard to be able to move through that zip line. It's hard to be able to jump off the wall and actually get a shot there to be able to rid of those fences before you try and get the aggression. T1 Zerg, he was one of the teams very, very close to that fight, likely maybe one of the members shooting from construction. Yes, as I believe it was HPL, the original roster being glanced at. Lucido actually already down here for this team.
Tough for them with still 16 squads left. And certainly not ample opportunities to get Lucido back into this game with 16 squads in this type of capital city area. Almost guarantees extreme amount of difficulty in terms of getting him back in the game. But this is exactly where we last left TSM here at the choke, going between Depot into those capital city hills and crates. And they've got some comfortable high ground. They've got fences up and some good luck. Let's go ahead and listen to now you hear Hal talking about the position they have.
Like, this is free.
I almost killed Zach again.
Reloading. Direct hit.
Not too much comms here. Just letting them know that Zach's taking some damage there from FlyQuest. The positioning, though, for TSM has been heavily focused here over the toll booth for a long while. It's very clear that they view this as the hill that they will at least die on, at least for the short term. Feeling like it's a big advantage, and understandably so. The circle formulating, though, does look like it is going to be that one just on the outskirts of that construction, which it makes sense to be able to dominate that. We actually saw Lazarus do this to LG. The reason LG lost that game was Lazarus descending down from that toll booth.
Look at sweet shots. They're hitting 3 wingman toss, breaking shields as well. Now hitting
wow, that was one away.
Flesh, and only 1 shot away from eliminating that. It's a grenade from distance. Not sure if that will get ticks. Wraith is forced to Q, and right now going to chase him out. They should be able to pick up this one easily just before it hits the portal as well.
She's trying to go through her own portal. It took a little bit too long. Actually, one even maybe coming back for a second. The Wraith going to be rid of. Blue armor. going to be already able to get the crack at this point. It's just getting a couple
And
kills.
you knew that Young Guns was going to have a they had to choose between Tunnel and Mine Pass, and it's not really, you're choosing really the less of two evils there. They decided to go Tunnel, but they ran into a Team Rogue that was ready for it. Sweet Dreams leading the charge with some solid wingman shots throughout.
Huskers, though, it did come at a cost, man. Very low in the HP. Going to buy him a little bit of time, and definitely some of the syringes and medkits on his side.
And Frex and team have been pushed not only off of the roof, but they also lost Rocker. So it's going to be up to Nathan here, who does get that bat off to try to fight through this. They do not want to exit this early. Keep in mind they are right now in 4th place, only 1 away from T1 in 3rd.
And if it is the circle that we think it's going to be, they're also going to have to be able to move out of this in the near future. Back with Imperial Hal here, defending over that control choke. Meanwhile, Space Station Gaming in the Capital Hill, or Capital City, find somebody invading their building. Peacekeeper not going to line up. Bird with absolutely no HP, logically missing the shots, but they end up having what it takes there, confirming the kill and ridding of T1 here from this game.
Now back with TSM. Let's go ahead and see if they decide to go drop into Depot. I think they're just going to hold the choke for now. Let's listen in once again.
Doesn't matter. Don't even worry.
One on roof.
We're not throwing
get
this.
kept here.
Do not fucking throw this.
The ring isn't far.
Okay,
I have 8 cells. I have 8 cells now. I have 8 cells. You need cells.
I have 2.
Here.
Me too.
Still again,
Pick up the Kraber.
feeling good. It seems like there for Hal. Comms are very high. Energy seems high across the board here for the team.
Am I hearing correctly? They're baiting that Kraber?
I believe so.
You heard him say, don't let him pick up that Kraber, and Hal responded, you will know if they pick that up. So it looks like a little bit of baiting on that.
Yeah, and the idea is, right, with the gold, it's very likely that you don't have double the gold, and if you can isolate it to where you made sure the Kraber's the only thing on, you can determine whether that loot does come in and out. And it's interesting there. I immediately was like, seems like a pretty good time, actually, for them to pick up the Kraber, owning the high ground, and then they can re-swap out the weapons and then later get that advance into the final circle. But we'll see what it looks like there for TSM. Time goes on. 11 seconds here until we will see the starting and the closing of that circle, and when TSM is finally going to have to make their advance in a different direction.
Pride trying to make like a house plant here in the corner, trying to blend in as best he can. We'll see how he does with that, but you heard Hal saying, do not throw this, which I think is the TSM way of saying, guys, keep a cool head. Let's make sure we place well here. And they know that with the gap that they have, right, they are 21 points ahead. All they need is a solid finish to close out this tournament and the first place prize. It would be their 3rd tournament win in a row.
Should be noted, the TSM is not high enough in placements, though, to be out of that position of possibly being threatened by some of these other teams who do end up winning, as we're still only sitting with 11 squads remaining. FlyQuest, though, struggling in the fight. Monsoon already getting very, very low, completely knocked, not quite thirsted completely, but they were holding the zone. It looked good for so very long. Monsoon is out here as we get round 4 and indicate round 5, and as we said, going to force them to move here off this building.
Can you get us loot? Yeah.
Uh-oh,
What is happening to TSM? And we did not catch it, but they ran into trouble.
Rogue.
At their choke, and it's coming at the hands of Rogue. Kills coming in there for Huskers and dropped. Sweet looking for number 3.
They need to get them out before they get to the 10th place position and increase the point capability for TSM. I don't think they completely wiped the entire roster. Somebody was still alive.
Reps, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see exactly who it is. It's still up.
Yes. They're trying to make sure that they don't allow him to res sitting on the backside of this.
Let's stay here with TSM to see how this plays out. He will get thirsted, and it's all up to Reps on only blue armor, now going up against the entire Rogue side. Broken.
One more. They need to be able to connect, and he ends up missing. Sweet Dreams now getting pressured by a different team. They're getting third-partied here, and everybody's now staring at Rogue. Rogue unable to get rid of TSM, still 11 squads.
I think we just heard them say they're going to walk up. I think it came from Sweet. They're going to walk up on Reps after they heal up. Let's see if they're able to do that to get that finish.
I know. They're going to play for the other side. We just got to play for this side. Do you have a generator already?
Arguing TSM's got to play for that side, so we just maintain control over ours. They can make the rotation down to the south if necessary. A couple shots going the other way. Man, big gun sitting on the other side. Unable to get the audio cue, but had to have been something along the lines of either probably the longbow or a double tap scout. Yeah.
Let's see. That's actually FlyQuest who goes out. They were in 5th. They were a threat for first place, but now they won't be. Now Space Station top construction.
10 squads remaining, meaning that TSM has gained at least one extra point, but still not confidently going to walk away with this tournament. Walking directly into the trap, it's going to be logically Slick trying to find a way out of danger here as they just escape from the construction building. All the bullets coming through. Bird as they immediately goes down. Logically, the only one alive.
Reps goes down in the kill feed. That is going to be Reps, who was taken down in the feed.
Which means that they are not going to gain very many placement points whatsoever, and we have a chance for these teams to be able to walk away and take it. They need a lot of kills, and confidently, whoever wins, it has to be Sentinels, T1, the Youngins and Frex, or possibly FlyQuest. Actually,
Rogue
FlyQuest now.
kills on Sentinels as well.
It should be noted, Rogue is the only team. They need a miracle game. If all the other ones need a good one, they need a absolutely fantastic one, but it is still mathematically pretty possible for Rogue, and they're putting up a darn good case so far.
Yep, they got their heals off, also shielded up, and they're in an okay position here with the angles that they have, but they need to make sure they're shooting together and disengaging at the right times. 5 squads left in this match.
They need to find a way to ensure a couple of these kills, because if they do this here and get the win itself, it actually may, as we said before, just going to be enough. They decide to opt in towards the transition up before, where they did in fact find Reps. HPL seemed to be the target there. I believe that's Rogue who moved up. Great Thermite is actually going to stop that advance pretty well here, Bravo.
Can he get a swap? Yes, gets the swap, and now Pride under siege right away, tries to fly up. Now looking at Rogue, sweet, very low, dropped as well.
Great
Husker's
shot.
the only one with a shield.
That was an amazing 92 there, considering the low ground. Nobody on Rogue does, in fact, have shields, as you pointed out, and Rogue did end up getting, I believe, at least one of those kills. Not a full wipe onto the squad, but they managed to hold their own. 20 seconds till we have closing here of round 6. This is HPL surviving after the Rogue push.
That is disengage I'm talking about. The fact that Rogue was able to all come back and all shield up lets them live to see another day. Looking at Rise on your screen as well, just below the bridge. Looking pretty good in the way of armor as well. They're going to need to make their way north here up into the crates.
The portal's out. They're going to make the smallest transition possible here. Sit on the outside as long as they possibly can. 4 squads remain as we do see the death of Moose there. Rogue still looking pretty good. Dropped with absolutely no armor. They are very low on the resources and no generator. Sweet unable to take tick of damage there from the outskirts as we see the full push come through. That is Reptar, of all people, coming in and getting the shot and getting the one knock, and Rise Nation is one of the 2 teams left.
Rise Nation and Rogue, I believe, SND dropped, goes down. Can they get the next one? Let's see exactly where it is.
Rogue
That's
needs this.
Sweet as well.
Rogue absolutely needs this if they're going to try and get this win, and they cannot do it. Rise Nation denies the victory from Rogue.
And you did see just now on Violent screen as well that was Huskers that was the kill leader in the game as well, indicating that it was certainly possible that Rogue had picked up a bunch of kills along the way, and what that means is we are really going to need to see the math before we decide what this top 3, top 5, and of course even top 8 within the prize money looks like.
I'd be willing to say I don't think Rogue could have done it without a win. I told you they needed like a fantastic game because they were on the outlier case of 30 pushing, right? I do not think
I agree.
It was going to be enough there for them.
To talk about the difference, Rogue was in 6th with 85 points. TSM in first with 118, both of those scores before game 12. I agree it would have needed to be a mathematical miracle for Rogue to pull that off. A great performance for them regardless. You talked about it earlier as well. They seem to be a championship Sunday team. That was the case for them here as well.
Yeah, and you got to be wondering, you know, TSM, I feel like you could see their outcome and how that game ended up playing out. But for all these other squads, they were very, very close. And more importantly, they're all very close in the standings right now to where we have no idea. The outcome T1, Sentinels, things of the like, right? So we're going to go ahead and bring in our analyst desk here before we close out here North America.
Thank you, Dread. How was that final match for you guys? It looked like you really enjoyed it. Rise coming out on top at the end?
I think, to be honest, we had amazing games in both regions throughout both days. And I think the one thing that we want, you know, as casters and fans of the game is exactly that. And we went into Game 12 for both regions having no idea who would win this tournament. To be honest, we still don't know who won North America. So a pretty fantastic set of games. Yeah, wanted, of course, give a big shout out to GLL for having us here for all these fantastic matches, and all you guys on the desk as well. Dread, I'll let you get some last words as well.
Yeah, no, my only complaints would be nobody dropped on TSM. Seriously, that's
dude, we wanted to see it, man. We want to see that fire, that competitive edge. But we know that logically for these teams, sometimes they don't want to give that extra risk or take that extra risk, right?
Apparently. I mean, I think you and I talk about it a lot, and we talk about it with Glitter and Onset as well. We're going to see it eventually when teams realize that they can probably increase their prize money
significantly
by double or triple if one of them is able to pull it off. We're still crossing our fingers here at the casting desk.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. Bravo, you've been a gem. A huge shout out to Dreadnought, who's casted every single match over GLL Apex Legends Series. A real hero and a man that I'm looking forward to spending more time with, having deep philosophical discussions. Okay, everybody, so let's wrap things up. Rise take our 12th and final game for NA. However, it's slightly insignificant in terms of overall standings, I think. I can't confirm that yet. We'll get the scoreboard and overall leaderboard up shortly. But the story is going to be, I think, TSM's placement in this match. They did relatively well. Glitter.
Not only did they do relatively well, but they had to do exceptionally well today, specifically after what happened with them yesterday. Not only did they show that they can come back from a really, really rough start, but then they were incredibly consistent throughout all of their games today.
Yeah, amazing from TSM today. I think, you know, I want to give a shout out to Rise there. One of the teams who qualified for this event, getting a win on the board shows that they are a team maybe to watch in the future who really can compete at the highest level, but that is the sub-story here. We need to talk about TSM, we need to talk about Rogue, a great performance from them again, and I would say probably the strongest performance in the last 3 or 4 games that we saw across the board. Really, really good improvements there from Rogue from day 1 to day 2 as well, but TSM has to be the story. Have they done enough to hold on to that top spot? And there's a few little things that happen in that game. We give a lot of props to Hao and some of the clutches he's made throughout the weekend and the way that he's managed to win games for his team. GLL, we know what he can do. We've seen in the past some of those incredible kills and plays that he's been able to make on that Pathfinder. Reps maybe isn't the player that gets as much love and as much of the limelight in comparison to those two players. But some plays don't show up in the scoreboard and don't show up in the,
you were stoked about this.
In the way that they should. And I just want to give a huge shout out to him for being able to stay alive long enough in a battle, in essentially a 3v1 situation, to allow a third party to come in and challenge Rogue. Now, that might sound like a crazy thing, right? He stays alive long enough for someone to just fight the team that he's fighting. What that means is that probably increased TSM's placements by 2.
Minimum.
And that's absolutely huge in the context of a tournament, especially when we're looking at teams which are so closely matched with so few points between them. That could be the difference there. And you have to say, across the clutch moments that TSM have had to make throughout this weekend, every single player at some point has made a play for TSM, which is why they may well be holding on to just see if, obviously, we want to get it confirmed, our champions.
Yeah, a big congratulations to Rise on the victory in the 12th match for NA. Now, I heard about TSM before the event. The guys told me about them as well. Yesterday, they weren't exactly remarkable, but they built into their stride. And today, they've had a fantastic game play. And now we can take a look at the scoreboard and see exactly how things stand. Rogue.
Ooh, that was big for Rogue.
I tell you what, that's one of those moments there. I thought that was our final, and I was like, wait, what? And then I saw that it wasn't. But yeah, I mean, Rogue on top, Rise in second there, Rogue with points on the board. So that's certainly going to help them. Sentinels as well. Not been the strongest today, but the fact that they've managed to come in 4th place there, get some points on the board, that should be a top 3 placement secured for them. TSM in 7th. The difference between 7th and 10th is huge as far as points are concerned.
I think they're okay. I think they might be okay.
I think they will be okay, everybody. Let's take a look at the final leaderboard. TSM are your NA champions here at the GLL Apex Legends Series. As we were just saying, it wasn't exactly the easiest start for them, but they really built into day 2. And then today, we saw them grab some wins. They've also had fantastic individual plays, but as a team solo mid, that is what has stood out, and they are the well-deserved winners of 1st place and $10,000.
Yeah, huge congratulations to Reps, Imperial Hao and GLL for taking home yet another tournament win. I do want to give a huge shout out here to Sentinels and Rogue as well, taking that 3rd place. Sentinels, again, proving they are one of the best teams in North America, but still coming up short against TSM. They're going to be a little bit bitter about that, especially after the day they had yesterday. But for Rogue, coming in 3rd place, a lot of questions were asked before this tournament, not just from us, but from a lot of outside sources. Are they the roster to be able to push into those upper echelons of Apex Legends? We have our answer now.
Yeah, indeed. Glitter, would you like to say anything else?
Honestly, this is kind of how I hoped it had all panned out. we got the variety that I was looking for. If you look across the board as far as the teams that took home wins, we had a full spread, whether they were qualified teams, whether they were invited teams. We had some repeats, but not so many that it felt overwhelmingly dominated, and kind of until the end when TSM really just kind of kicked it into high gear. But this is a very, very promising group of competitive players moving forward for the Apex Legends competitive scene. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Absolutely. I think across both EMEA, I should say, not just Europe, and NA, that consistency is absolutely key. TSM and Luminosity Gaming showed that, you know, if you put your head down, you work as a team, and you get those consistent results, you don't always have to be at the top, but eventually, at the very end of all the matches, you're going to have the most points. They are our champions. They should be very proud of themselves. And of course, the other teams taking part, we cannot forget those that qualified to get here, not just those that are invited in the biggest organizations. Overall, this tournament has definitely been one for the history books. My name is Par. I've been your desk host. This has been Glitter. Thank you for joining me. Big shout out to...
long-distance fist bump here.
No, we can make it, mate. It's not that big of a table. Big shout out to Onset as well. Bravo, the main man. He's just off camera right now. And, of course, a shout out to Dreadnought too. It's been a pleasure for me to get involved in Apex and meet this wonderful group of humans. And, of course, a shout out to GLL and BME Productions as well. Thank you to Respawn Entertainment and EA for making a fantastic game. And I guess we'll have to wait and see what is in the future for this fantastic title. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations to everybody involved. We'll see you next time.